He dismounted in one fluid motion, revealing broad shoulders beneath a dusty denim coat. "Quinn Nordstrom," he offered, extending a calloused hand. "Looks like those Blackwater boys got to you." "Jessie McKenzie," she replied, accepting his handshake. His grip was firm but gentle. "They took my wagon. Everything I had." Quinn surveyed the trampled grass where her wagon had stood just an hour earlier. His blue eyes narrowed as he studied the horizon. "You'll have another before week's end, Miss McKenzie. That's a promise." Jessie stared at him in disbelief. "Sir, I appreciate your optimism, but I don't see how that's possible. I have nothing left." He adjusted his hat and gave her a confident smile that softened his rugged features. "Green River's my hometown. I know people there who owe me favors. More importantly, I know those bandits, and I know where they're headed." "You aim to catch them?" Jessie asked, hope fluttering in her chest for the first time since the attack. "I aim to try." Quinn whistled, and his horse trotted closer. "First, though, we need to get you somewhere safe. Can you ride?" Jessie nodded. "My father taught me." Quinn helped her onto his horse before mounting behind her. The proximity made her blush, but survival trumped propriety out here. His arm reached around her to take the reins, creating a protective circle she couldn't help but find comforting. "Hold tight, Miss McKenzie. We'll reach Hollow Creek by nightfall. My friend runs the general store there. She'll help us get sorted." As they rode across the Golden Plains, Jessie found herself studying Quinn's hands on the reins, steady, capable hands that seemed to promise safety. She had come west seeking independence, not rescue, but today she was grateful for his intervention. "What brings a woman alone to these parts?" Quinn asked as they crested a hill. "These lands aren't kind to solitary travelers. I'm to be the new schoolteacher in Green River," she explained. "My cousin arranged it after my father passed. I sold our farm to pay his debts and used what little remained to purchase that wagon and supplies." Quinn nodded thoughtfully. "Green River's growing fast. Lots of families settling there. They'll be glad to have a proper teacher." "Hello, Martha," Quinn called as he dismounted and helped Jessie down. "Got a situation that needs your particular brand of kindness." Martha's eyes settled on Jessie with immediate understanding. "Bandits. The Blackwater gang," Quinn confirmed. "Took everything from Miss McKenzie here." Martha clicked her tongue and ushered them inside. "Those devils. Come in, dear. Let's get you settled." The store smelled of coffee and leather, its shelves stocked with everything from canned goods to bolts of fabric. Martha led them to a small sitting area in the back. "Quinn, fetch some water while I find something for this young lady to eat," Martha instructed. "Then you can tell me what foolish plan you're hatching." When Quinn stepped outside, Martha turned her kind eyes to Jessie. "That man saved my store from foreclosure 3 years ago. Never asked for anything in return. If he says he'll help you, consider it done." "He promised I'd have a new wagon by week's end," Jessie said. "Is that possible?" Martha smiled. "Quinn doesn't make promises he can't keep. Now, let's get you cleaned up." Later, freshly washed and wearing a borrowed dress, Jessie joined Quinn and Martha for a simple supper of stew and cornbread. "I'll head out at first light," Quinn explained between bites. "The Blackwater gang always holes up at the abandoned McCoy mine after a raid. If I push hard, I can catch them before they fence your belongings." "You shouldn't go alone," Jessie protested. "These men are dangerous." Quinn's expression softened. "I appreciate your concern, Miss McKenzie, but this isn't my first encounter with them. Besides, Sheriff Davis in Green River has been after those boys for months. I'll send word to him first." "And what about me?" Jessie asked. "You'll stay here with Martha until I return," Quinn said. Martha nodded. "I could use the help around the store anyway. Consider it payment for your room and board. Jessie agreed, though the thought of Quinn facing bandits alone troubled her. Despite having just met him, she felt an inexplicable connection to this quiet, determined man. The next morning, Jessie awoke to find Quinn already gone. Martha explained he'd left before sunrise, promising to return within 3 days. Those 3 days passed slowly for Jessie. She helped Martha in the store, organizing inventory and assisting customers. The work kept her hands busy, though her mind often wandered to Quinn. Each passing hour heightened her worry. On the evening of the 3rd day, Martha found Jessie staring anxiously out the window. "He'll come back," Martha assured her. Quinn's like a mountain stream appears gentle on the surface but carries powerful currents beneath. "I hardly know him," Jessie admitted. "Yet I find myself concerned for his safety." Martha smiled knowingly. Sometimes the heart recognizes what's right before the mind catches up. Before Jessie could respond, the distant sound of hoofbeats drew their attention. They rushed outside to see Quinn approaching, leading 3 horses pulling Jessie's wagon. Relief flooded through her as she ran toward him. His face was bruised, a cut above his eye partially scabbed over, but his smile was triumphant as he dismounted. "Told you you'd have another wagon before week's end," he said. "Consider it an investment in Green River's education," Martha insisted. "Just promise to visit sometimes." As they prepared to depart, Martha pulled Jessie aside. "Quinn doesn't let many people close. The fact he risked himself for you means something." Jessie blushed. "We've only just met." "Sometimes that's all it takes," Martha replied with a wink. The journey to Green River would take 2 days. Quinn rode alongside the wagon, occasionally pointing out landmarks or sharing stories about the territory. Jessie found herself captivated by his quiet confidence and the gentle way he interacted with his horse. That evening they made camp by a creek. As Jessie prepared a simple meal, Quinn tended the horses, his movements methodical and sure. The domesticity of the scene wasn't lost on her, it felt comfortable in a way she hadn't expected. "May I ask what brought you out west?" Jessie inquired as they ate beside the campfire. "You seem to know this land intimately." Quinn was silent for a moment, his gaze fixed on the flames. "My father was a trapper." "That's exactly what I'm hoping for," Jessie admitted. "After my father died, I realized I'd spent my entire life in one small corner of Illinois. I want more than that. Teaching will suit you then. You'll help shape the town's future." The conversation flowed easily between them as night deepened. Jessie found herself sharing stories of her childhood and her dreams for the future with a frankness that surprised her. Quinn listened attentively, asking thoughtful questions that revealed his genuine interest. Quinn smiled, obvious pride in his expression. "Wait until you see it in spring when the cottonwoods bloom. Looks like it's been dusted with snow." They drove down the main street, passing a church, several businesses, and a schoolhouse that must be her new workplace. People called greetings to Quinn, their curious gazes lingering on Jessie. "Your cousin lives on the north side," Quinn explained, guiding them past the central square. "Nice lady. Does seamstress work for half the town." "You know Victoria?" Jessie asked, surprised. "Wilson says he inquired whether you were settling in well. Said he felt responsible since he brought you here." At precisely 10 o'clock, a wagon loaded with hay appeared outside Victoria's home. Quinn handled the reins, bringing the team to a smooth stop. "Morning, ladies," he called, jumping down from the seat. "Brought your monthly delivery, Miss Victoria." "Perfect timing," Victoria replied. "I was just telling Jessie how reliable you are." She glanced between them before adding, "I need to finish a dress for Mrs. Peterson. Jessie, would you mind showing Quinn where to stack the hay?" Before Jessie could respond, Victoria disappeared inside, leaving them alone. "Your cousin isn't subtle," Quinn observed with a small smile. "No, she isn't," Jessie agreed, returning his smile. "The hay goes behind the house, near the chicken coop." As they walked around the house, Quinn asked about her preparations for school. Jessie found herself sharing her excitement and concerns, his attentive responses encouraging her to speak freely. "The children here are eager to learn," Quinn said as he began unloading hay bales. When the last bale was stacked, Quinn hesitated, seeming reluctant to leave. "Would you?" he began, then started again. "There's a social at the church tomorrow after services. Would you consider attending with me?" Jessie's heart quickened. "I'd like that very much." His smile transformed his face. "I'll call for you at 1 then." Sunday arrived with clear skies and mild temperature. Jessie wore her best dress, a deep blue that Victoria had insisted brought out her eyes. Quinn arrived promptly, freshly shaved and wearing a crisp white shirt beneath his usual denim jacket. Jessie felt lighter than she had in months, acutely aware of his hand at her back and the way his eyes never left hers. As afternoon shifted to evening, lanterns were lit around the gathering. During a slower song, Quinn led Jessie away from the crowd toward a quieter spot beneath a large oak tree. "Thank you for coming with me today," he said softly. "I'm not much for social gatherings usually." "I wouldn't have guessed," Jessie replied. "Everyone here seems fond of you." Quinn shrugged. "I keep to myself mostly. Never been comfortable in crowds." They traveled through rolling hills until reaching a bluff overlooking the river valley. Green River spread below them like a model village. "I come here to think," Quinn explained as they sat on a blanket he'd brought. "Helps me see the bigger picture when troubles seem overwhelming." "It's magnificent," Jessie said, taking in the panoramic view. "I can see why you love it." Quinn seemed nervous, repeatedly adjusting his hat before setting it aside entirely. "Jessie, there's something I need to tell you. About my past." She turned to him, giving him her full attention. Quinn had expanded the rooms above his livery into a comfortable apartment where they began their married life. Jessie continued teaching while helping Quinn with his business ledgers in the evenings. Together they planned and saved for a proper house on a piece of land Quinn had purchased at the edge of town. Winter turned to spring, and as Quinn had promised, the cottonwoods bloomed like snow across the valley. On a warm April evening, as they sat on their small balcony watching twilight settle over Green River, Jessie placed Quinn's hand against her abdomen. 1 year later, as they celebrated James's first birthday, Quinn presented Jessie with a hand-carved wooden wagon, miniature but detailed. "For our son," he explained, "so he'll always know the story of how his parents found each other." Jessie kissed him, remembering that terrible day when bandits took her wagon, and the promise from a stranger that she'd have another before week's end. That promise had been fulfilled, but it had brought her so much more than just another wagon. It had brought her home, family, and a love that grew stronger with each passing day. As Green River flourished around them, so did the Nordstrom family. By their 5th anniversary, James had a sister, Margaret, and Quinn's livery had expanded into the largest in the county. Jessie divided her time between motherhood and teaching, finding fulfillment in both roles. On clear summer evenings, they often returned to the bluff overlooking the valley, watching their children play while the setting sun painted the river gold. In those moments, Jessie would sometimes catch Quinn watching her with the same wonder he'd shown that first day on the trail, as if he couldn't quite believe his good fortune. "What are you thinking?" she asked one such evening, leaning against his shoulder. Quinn smiled, wrapping his arm around her. "Just that when I promised you a new wagon all those years ago, I had no idea I was really promising myself a new life, the best life I could have imagined." Jessie squeezed his hand, the pearl ring catching the last rays of sunlight. Sometimes the greatest journeys begin with a loss, she said. I'm grateful every day that mine led me to you. As twilight deepened into night, they gathered their sleepy children and headed home. Their shared love illuminating the path forward, a light that had begun with a chance meeting on the open plains and now guided them through all the days of their lives together.